We're going to be doing a driving review of the Clayton Off Road Overland Plus 3.5-inch suspension kit that I just recently installed on my 2022 Wrangler Rubicon Extreme Recon. I know that was a whole mouthful, but what I like to do after I show off the lift kit, how the install goes, I really like to show how it drives on the road for daily driving, because let's be honest, that's where most of us are going to be doing most of our driving in the Jeep. In today's video, what I wanted to do, I wanted to go over how well this drives, maybe some things to address after you lift your Jeep, what to look for, what to notice on the inside, and basically just go over how this Clayton Off Road kit feels on the highway. So the first thing I wanted to address is what I normally do after I lift my vehicles. So if you guys watched that installation video, I'm not sure if we included it, but I do go ahead and paint mark all of my bolts after I've torqued them down properly. Now, paint marking draws a line on the bolt head and then a line that's matching on whatever surface it is bolted to. So that way you can just do a quick visual check to see if everything is tightened up, and you don't need to go under and check with a ratchet and the wrench and everything every time. You can just visually see that that line is matching up. And if it's not matching up, that means that it has moved and it's too loose. So I do that with this entire kit, and then the first thing that I do after getting alignment, I did get an alignment the next day after I did this kit. The first thing I do is after 500 miles, which we're pretty close on that, maybe 100 miles away, is I will go underneath and do a complete once over of the entire kit. Now what that means is checking your control arm bolts, checking your shock perches, checking everything underneath that we've touched. So drag link, tie rod, everything that we would have messed with, including even our lug nuts and the torque on those, I'm going to do a once over on. I like to make sure that I'm safe, and just in case you're working late at night and maybe you forget a bolt, you want to make sure that that's tightened, because that can lead into some pretty big problems. That would be the first step, and then the next thing I like to do is honestly just go over some of the more familiar bumps and turns that I'm used to on the stock Jeep and see how this one does. So I can tell you that I'm very happy with the way that this performs, and I can tell you that being that I've done this a few times now, this Jeep is driving great after this lift kit. So I've done a ton of lift kits, and this one is really performing well. We're about to turn onto the highway here. I did have a chance in the week to drive down the highway for about 20 or 30 miles, and it drove extremely well. But in today's video, it's all about showing you guys how it performs. So we're gonna go on the highway here, and we're gonna kind of give you the good perspective. I'm gonna get up to speed. This is a 55, 60 mile an hour highway. So we'll get up to speed here and just really see how it handles. I've been very impressed with the way that this drives, and I think you will be too. So let's get it up to speed. I haven't noticed any sort of mileage decrease, maybe just a tad because we are up a little bit higher and the airflow is not the same way that it was stock. It's only gonna get worse once I add on bumpers and things, but I'm still pulling 20-ish on the highway. Here we are, guys. We're at 58, 60 miles an hour, somewhere in there, and it drives extremely smooth. So it's a very windy day today, but I only need to keep a little bit of a hand on the steering wheel to stay straight as an arrow through here. The stock measurements that Clayton gives to you to keep the control arms and everything at are pretty close to accurate. They didn't really have to mess with too much when they aligned this, and it drives very straight and true. I'm extremely happy with it. And the one thing that I wanted with this kit and why I paired it up with the Fox shocks is because it would drive a little bit more firm than the stock suspension. I was just mentioning to Ryan, in the Extreme Recon, you guys probably know if you have one at home, when you go over kind of a couple different bumps or maybe some waves in the road, I was really getting thrown around in the bolsters in my seat. I don't know what it was, but I could feel it, and it felt like it was just a little bit too soft for me. And I'm sure they were doing that to make sure that it rode very smooth, but I thought it was a little bit too soft in my opinion. With this has firmed it up a little bit, and while that will make some of the bumps a little bit more noticeable on the quicker bumps, like that one, it drives very, very smooth. That's what I wanted. I wanted a smooth, firmer ride for daily driving, just because I could feel the road a little bit better. So this one, I'm very happy with it. The shocks will tune that pretty well, and then also the load range that your tires have. But the coil springs and everything that they have set up for this, it is driving very, very, very smooth on the highway. I'm super happy with it, and I'm happy that I got rid of the soft ride of that stock Extreme Recon. So the biggest difference that this did was really increase the height of the vehicle. Now I was anticipating an inch or two higher, and it's probably right at that point. I would say that the front is probably 2.5 to even 3 inches taller, and the reason being, if you guys watch that video, Clayton Off Road designs their front coil springs for the weight of a steel winch bumper as well as a winch. So as soon as you drop that on, it'll push it down a little bit, and go at that perfect even height. So you won't have any rake in the front or rake in the back. I love that. I don't want to put 1-inch coil pucks underneath the very expensive lift that I just bought to make it ride the right way. Clayton already thought of that, so you don't need to do that. You don't need to get the whole lift installed, get the coil springs in, and then afterwards, all right, this thing doesn't look good because I put heavy winch bumper on, now I got to add a coil spacer. No, none of that. And I don't think you should have to. That's why I chose Clayton, and that's why I'll be working with them, because they think of things like that. And that's something that I really like and appreciate, having installed a lot of lifts and then putting a winch bumper and a winch on, and then I'm like, oh shoot, I've got to add a coil spacer to make this thing look okay. But the height difference did make an impact. So I have a little bit more gap in between the wheel wells, and I got to fix that. So you guys know I posted on our community tab, these wheels and tires are for sale. I do have one person that's pretty interested in them. I've had a couple of you guys reach out, but I've gone one guy that's very interested in them. I want to hear what wheels you think I should put on this. So wheels and tire suggestions. Personally, I think I'm going to go beadlocks. So I want to do a beadlock, probably an XD, either an XD crawl, maybe an ATX slab, kind of throw it old school. I used to run those on my JK. But tire suggestions are the big one. My all-time favorite two are probably number one, Cooper STT Pro, the Discover STT Pro, or the Nitto Trail Grapplers. The Nitto Trail Grapplers are heavy and very hard to find right now. If you guys have a better tire suggestion than both of those that'll be good in the rain, in the snow, in the sleet, but then grab up pretty well on the trails, drop a comment below, because maybe we ought to do a tire comparison and see exactly what I should get. But the height increase has led me down the rabbit hole. I need bigger wheels and tires. I'm debating 37s or 40s. We'll kind of have to see where I go. I think 40s would be, sorry for the tractor trailer. I think 40s would be really cool on this, and I'm trying to prep it for show season. I mean, everyone wants to run 40s, so maybe I'll do a fender split in 40s, but let me know in the comments, 37s or 40s, what wheels, what tires. I love reading those comments, so please, if you guys don't get anything out of this video, drop a comment below. I want to read exactly what you should get, but it did increase the height. The first day, I normally just slide out of this, and I like have an inch, and then I hit the ground. The first day I lifted it, and then the next morning I woke up, I went to get out of it, and I like fell 3 inches and almost kind of tripped getting out. So I'm sure my Ring camera had a fun time watching me, and then my wife later. But yeah, it does pick it up, and I'm very happy with the height of this overall. The last few things that I wanted to address in this video, this is an on-road driving review. Honestly, we're just driving around my hometown, down some of the streets here, just to talk while we're driving here, but some final impressions. Some things to think about. I know a lot of you guys fielded some great questions on that initial video, such as, will this void warranty? What else do I need to consider after lifting? Things like that. So there's a lot of great questions you guys have. First one I want to address is, will this void warranty? I mentioned it before. When you take your vehicle in, if there's an issue and you're still under warranty, the dealership has to prove, they have a burden of proof that the lift kit directly caused the warranted issue. So they need to prove that. So don't just let them tell you, well, this is lifted, it's not covered. So they need to prove that, and don't let them just get away with it. That's the one thing I wanted to say. So from everything I've heard, even when I used to work back at the dealership, you could add on service contracts and check on a little box that said, is the vehicle lifted? So you could check that box off. So they are already aware of it. But no, it won't void warranty. It would just have to, the lift kit would have to cause a failure or directly cause the failure for the warranted item. So that's the first one I wanted to address. Next one, steering components, stabilizers, and drive shafts. Those are the next steps. So we're addressing weak links. We can remove the control arms, the springs, the shocks, all the weaker links that came with the stock Wrangler. The next weak links are going to be the tie rod and the drag link up front, because we did replace the track bars. So tie rod, drag link, and then steering stabilizer, we are going to address those in the future. I want to see how much life I can get out of these stock ones. I have replaced them before on other Jeeps with some heavy duty pieces, but I want to see how much life I can get out of these, and also get some suggestions from you on what to replace with. The stabilizer isn't as big of an issue because I'm still on 35s, but I probably will run one of the Fox ATS, the through shaft stabilizers, once I go up to a bigger tire. That I found reduces a lot of the steering wander and just gives me a nice stiff feel on the steering wheel. Drive shafts, it's a big question too. I haven't had any binding on the front. We're gonna learn when we go off-roading. So we're gonna see if that Rezepa joint in the front or the rear will cause any issues, and then we'll probably run like a 1310 or a 1350 style joint. But I just want to see exactly how high I'm going, and then also if I'm going to keep all the axles stock and everything. I don't like to invest a ton into drive shafts if I don't have to, I want to kind of burn these out first and see where I'm getting hung up and then go to it. And if you guys know this channel, I'm not big on wasting money. So what I like to do is see what works and what doesn't. I don't want to have a terrible failure off-road, but I want to see exactly what works and what won't. So we'll go out, we'll burn out the stock equipment to see where our failure points are, and then we're going to order some parts, but we're going to figure all that out. And honestly, I suggest you guys do the same thing. Now, the only caveat to that is if you go on Clayton Off Road's website, you can actually order a performance package, which is everything all in one. So it's the shocks, it's your steering kit, it's your full lift kit, and it's a stabilizer, all in one, all said and done. If you guys go in the comments, I just talked to James over there, drop the name Dirt Road CRED in the comments and they'll send you a special gift. So I'm not sure what they're going to send you, but drop it in there so they can see that you came from this side. But overall though, that is kind of my final impressions of this. There is a lot I can talk about on lift kits. And if you guys have more questions about your specific lift kit, what you intend to do, I highly suggest that you go on the Patreon and subscribe to that highest level tier. Even if it's just for a month, you can have a chance to talk to me and we can run over a conversation. I have a bunch of guys on there. I love our conversations. And if you guys want to have a more detailed half-hour conversation about Jeeps, about life, about anything, definitely reach out on there. This has been a good video though. I'm really happy with the way that this kit is driving. I'm happy with the way it's performing, and I cannot wait to try it on the trail. Until next time though, my name is Matt with Dirt Road CRED. Get out there and earn yours.